this was the one from the previous that I was mentioning about. The other vision that was coming through was this idea of, it's like always being your best self and competing with yourself and loving yourself and honoring yourself and wanting to be your best self. And you show up that way, but then you quickly realize other people are judging or competing, but it's like a silent competing. That's what it showed. It was more of this like seething. Like they had me in this environment where it seemed like everybody was friendly. It seemed like everybody was encouraging. It seemed like everybody was saying the right thing. But then you could start hearing it slip. You could start hearing the sly comments or the backhanded comments. It was like the seething right underneath. And then I recognized it was this idea of jealousy or comparison, right? It was like they were comparing themselves against you. And you weren't doing that. You were only comparing yourself against yourself. You were only trying to be the better version of you all the time. And you loved you and you loved doing you and all this. And they, I guess, maybe either took that as it's like they didn't like your confidence. And they didn't understand it because they don't have confidence. And so it was that underbelly of jealousy that they were saying it, not you. They were deeming that you were always better. You were always special. You were always this. You were always that. And that's just what they're telling themselves. That's what's in their own head. That's their own decisions and choices that they're making. And this is the idea of everybody has to do their own work. They have to heal themselves. They have to understand themselves. They have to listen to themselves, understand what they're really telling themselves. And it's kind of like that idea of that silent competition where sometimes you're put in those kind of environments where you think everybody's friendly because you're friendly. You think everybody's sincere because you're sincere. But you quickly realize it's the idea of haters. It's the idea of haters are out there where they're competing with you. They're not competing with themselves. And yeah, I always feel like you have to be careful. It could be, we talked about in the previous one, it's like don't focus on it, but also don't continue to surround yourself by it, right? Because they can be dangerous. It's like somebody is trying to stop your every step, right? Like you soon recognize they're quick on your heels and you don't understand until you then understand. So it's like, okay, well, so you have to see that to love yourself, to honor yourself, to pivot, be like, look, we can't be friends. It's one thing to have silent haters outside. You're always going to have that. Those outside looking in. And they're always going to be haters in the sense that they don't know you at all, right? So they're making tons of assumptions. And so, like we said in the previous one, you just need to focus on you and love you. And if you feel that, just recognize it's like your biggest supporters, right? Because they're the ones who are going to push you further, to push you to be your better self each and every day. Because you're not competing with them. You're only competing with you. It's like I'm competing with an invisible, like you don't even know who they are. So don't worry about that for sure. But again, if you start to recognize it in your environment, I think it's important to address it and see, because sometimes you just have to address the person individually because maybe they didn't recognize it, or maybe they just need to start loving themselves, or who knows what. I mean, I really, that's why everything's always individual. But sometimes it is a matter of like recognizing, okay, well, this is the idea. If other people aren't doing their work or aren't loving themselves and you see that they're never growing, they're never elevating, you can't stay stuck and stagnant there with them. It's like people are either growing with you or it does feel like you're leaving them behind because they're staying stuck and stagnant, where it's not that you're necessarily leaving them behind, but they can't be in your day-to-day life because you're forward focused and you're growing and you're healing and loving yourself. And so you just are different, right? Like you just lead very different lives. And it's not about comparing like good or bad, right or wrong. It's just a recognition of the differences and honoring yourself and being in spaces and places that it's the vibrational match. And honoring that. They're making a big point about this. I think because of me, because I tend to be one who stays or is tolerant or makes excuses, and to my own discomfort, right? Where it's like, because I don't want anybody to feel left behind or feel bad, but then it causes my own stagnation. This is the whole, you hear this all the time in this podcast. This is the whole point of, like, you can't do that. You can't. It's not honoring you. It's not loving you. And it's not setting a good example for others, right? And it's not truthful. So you just have to stand in your truth and honor yourself and love yourself. And those who are doing the same, they're operating from their heart and so on and so forth, it'll all sync up. Sorry, I'm just listening. Even on a Saturday early in the morning, they're going at it. You hear that construction? I woke up to the lights of it the other day. They started at like 5 o'clock. And I could tell they turned the lights on because it was pitch black out. And all of a sudden there was, even through the blinds, you could feel the light beaming through. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.